Welcome to the 5th round of this Pauper Challenge. We are sitting at 4-0, which means that even if we lose these 2 rounds of the Swiss, we are pretty likely to get into the top 8 with our high standing. But nevertheless, I'm gonna do my best to try and win this one as well. And we are playing against Hampus, who is well known for piloting Tron. So we could definitely be in trouble. And we are on a mulligan. This hand is okay, but really needs a white source, so I have to leave this Ashburns on the top. And indeed, looks like we are facing Tron. But judging from Tranquil Cove, it seems like they are on the Stonehorn version, which is definitely one of the less worrisome for us, since they only typically run like 1 capsize, and other than that they are just a control deck. There's this Elvish Rejuvenator, pretty cool addition to Tron decks, I think. And sure, we might as well fam, but I will wait with the Small Drifter for next turn so that I can snap him and get multiple draws off of it. But wow, here they got turn 4 Tron. Let's see whether we're gonna get countered completely or not. Looks like not, since the opponent is passing the turn without colored mana open. So this Small Drifter and snap will definitely happen. And might as well go for other one. I guess I'm kind of kicking myself into the head. I should have played the bounce land first before running out the second Muldrifter, since now I'm snapping and getting 1 less mana out of the deal. But it's fine, because the Muldrifter 2/2 flying body does not really matter in this matchup much. I mean, it's fine to have 1 out, just so we can flicker it later, but mostly the Muldrifter is just there for the card draw. So opponent advancing their mana situation. They're definitely ahead in that department, but let's see how much interaction do they have to counter our combo pieces. Looks like the wall resolves, so that's perfect. Therefore I'm definitely trying to Muldrifter again. Snap it if I can. Alright, looks like opponent is on no counters, so that is pretty fortunate for us. So let's preordain, and I'm fighting a negate to interact with the opponent. I should probably have tapped differently. I should have tapped the Chancery for preordain so that I can later Fateful, but again, our life points won't really matter in this kind of matchup. It's more about whether they can lock us down, either through counter magic or capsize. They are playing out more small dudes, but that's okay. We don't worry about those that much. Now we're able to play another wall, and this is kind of a lock. It's a soft lock, not a hard one, but with double wall plus flicker plus negate, we are essentially able to counter each of their non-creature spells for paying 2 blue mana. So that might even lock up the game, but let's see whether it's good enough. Muldrifter we can do nothing about, unfortunately. But we do not worry that much about that one. Another Muldrifter, okay. I mean, that's cool for the opponent, but still, that does not disrupt our combo in any way. And since they only have mana for one counter spell, I'm fine to just run out the Flicker there into a possible counter, since I could rebuy it next turn if it does not happen. And if it does, I will be up a spell in my hand, and I'll be able to better chain my Muldrifters and snap. Third Fam is kind of redundant, but might as well play it. They do not have any sweepers. I imagine this version does not run Rolling Thunder. So it's Muldrifter and Muldrifter again, and snap it again. Repeat the process, dig deeper. We just need the Sage Row to close the game out. And I guess I'll pass with some mana open. Here's the bulk, but it's late to the party. I mean, I could get a snap back just so I have one, but I figure there's no need for that. Yeah, the opponents got a bunch of dead draws in Stonehorns and movement pieces, so I assume that's part of what they got in their hand. And I do not want to lose the small drifter quite yet, so let's flicker it before combo damage, and we can counter this prohibit, no worries. They're getting back the prohibit, but it won't be even able to counter anything relevant since they cannot kick it. So I'm fine to just rebuy my flicker from last time and go to my turn, where I hope to finally find my Sage Row and win that way. Yeah, there it is. There it is, we've got the flicker, opponent does not have anything to interact that. I will spare you the details, let's just go onto the sideboarding. Against Tron, we will be bringing in one Dispel, as well as the full 3 Pyroblasts package, and one Hydroblast, since even though they don't run any red main deck, they presumably have 3 or 4 Pyroblasts in their side. So I want to have at least one Hydro to counter that. We will be taking out the Stonehorn and arrows, which won't really do much in the matchup. I'm taking out 2 Faithfuls and 1 Seagate. I could cut an extra Faithful instead of the Seagate, but I figure the Faithful also can act as a combo piece sometimes, as I explained in my earlier videos. And even the life points might actually matter if the opponent is beating down with their Muldrifters, and we want to be able to flash back our deep analyses and not suffer the consequences of just risking to die to Muldrifter beatdown. So here we are on the draw, and our hand is kind of reactive, does not have that much gas, so it's not the best one against Tron. I think that the best way how to combat Tron is just to combo off as fast as you can, or at least have some early familiars, but I wanna try this hand out and see where it goes. Looks like opponent will be on turn 3 Tron, if they so desire. Nope, they'll be getting a Thornwood Force instead to secure colored mana. That does not mean that they won't have Tron in their next turn. Here I'm gonna play a little conservatively. I'm running out the bounce land and discarding to hand size rather than evoking the Muldrifter and discarding, because the Muldrifter is the only card draw I have in my hand, and I would love to be able to snap it before it goes away. Alright, so opponent is on Tron indeed, and does have the Rejuvenator to supply another source of colored mana. So that's pretty strong. On my turn again I just pass, which I don't know, maybe that was slightly too conservative. I maybe should have evoked there and hoped that I like chain into another Muldrifter or Deep Analysis, since the opponent was tapped out of colored mana, while now they might be holding color magic. So I'm gonna counter the Seagate, kind of hoping that they fight for it, but looks like they got better things to do in form of Prophetic Prism and looks like to be a Muldrifter. So that's super strong, and they still have 2 mana up for my turn. So I'm just gonna preordain then. And again, pass the turn. But I'm getting some more guys onto the board. I mean, soon it will be a respectable clock, so I should worry about my life total and not just about card advantage. But at this point I feel like I have to run the Muldrifter out, even though there might be multiple counters. But I at least have the Hydro as a backup, so I'm able to get rid of this single pyroblast. But yeah, looks like opponent has another piece of counter magic as well, and that's really tough, as now we are left without any card draw in our hand, which is what I feared and why I did not want to run out the Muldrifter earlier. So opponent will be killing us in like 2 turns, and they even have Pyroblast in their hand. So I cannot imagine emerging victorious from this game anymore. But I might as well play it out, just to kind of see a little bit more of the opponent's deck. But again, no high hopes there for a favorable outcome. And yeah, we blank here, and that's gonna be it. For game 3, we are gonna go with the same deck configuration as last time. This 7 card hand is a little too slow. I mean, we need to draw a 3rd land to get this Muldrifter down, and it's not extremely fast, so I'm gonna take a bet and mulligan, but this 6 unfortunately is not keepable. These 5 are really not much better, as it lacks card draw completely. But at least we've got our land drops, and I'm even gonna keep the Chancery. I could also see that the line was to bottom that and try to find my card draw sooner. But it's a close call. So yeah, fetching for red, at least we've got a perfect mana, but we need to find something to do with it. I will run the Denizen out, even though it might be risky if it gets like countered and the opponent plays a Bojuka Bog, but I don't think that's a sequence I really want to play around, and quite on the contrary, if they countered the Sage Row, I would be kind of happy that I've got a counter out of the way and I can later rebuy it with the Mortarmire. But it looks like it's gonna stick, so it might as well deliver some beats, even though I cannot imagine a game against Tron resolving around life totally instead of card advantage. So here they've got their second Tron piece, and perfect, we drew the ideal card in form of Deep Analysis. So finally we can start chaining some card draw hopefully, and a FAM will definitely help as well. So opponent is leaving counter mana open, but this does not discourage me from running this FAM out, as even if it gets countered, I can just flashback the analysis and then put it on top with the mire. Okay, opponents got the prohibit back with the wall, and they do have the mana to cast it. I'm aware of, but I'm still gonna run this FAM out, even knowing that it's gonna get countered, because then this allows me to evoke the Muldrifter and snap it. And I'm actually milling myself, because milling the opponent's not great, as they have several flashback spells in their deck, so I do not want to give them extra value. And at this point I feel like, even though it's a little risky, I want to evoke the Muldrifter, and hopefully we will chain into some other card draw spell. Even if we don't, we could later like flicker the mire and put the Muldrifter on top. So let's run another Muldrifter, again milling ourselves. And here we mill a Deep Analysis, which is pretty nice. So let's try and flicker. Looks like the opponents got the answer though. So maybe Snap will resolve? Nope, looks like not. Alright then, we've got out-controlled this turn, but still we've got action left in our hand. Okay, opponent's got a Bojuka Bog, which also mills the analysis as well as the two FAMs, so I'm a little sad about that, but nothing we can do. And we are in a kind of tight spot, because now opponent can flicker the wall and Seagate to gain a lot of card advantage. And he's gonna soon kind of run away with that, and if they hit another mnemonic wall, I think we are locked out. If they hit the Dinrova horse that we saw earlier in their graveyard, we are also locked out. So we need to find some action and win rather sooner than later. Deep Analysis does help. So let's flash it back before opponent has a chance to like flicker the bog. And let's also preordain into another preordain, I guess. And we've got a fam. Okay. So we have to pass the turn here, knowing that we are dead to a lot of stuff. And opponent is teaching for pyroblast. Okay, so this will be tough. I mean, we know of the pyro, we know of the ghostly flicker. Now they are... looks like hard casting the Maldrifter too. I mean, they could have flickered the wall in Maldrifter, but they want to have as much couch mana for our turn as possible. But okay, they are gonna kind of fall for it and flicker here so that they don't lose the elf, which I'm pretty happy about, because I don't think like them getting an additional land will matter all that much. Since anyway we've got like 1 or 2 more turns to close the game out, otherwise I think we are locked out. Whether the opponent can finish us off with damage or not, that does not matter, but they will eventually have enough counters to deal with all our threats. So let's try and fam, and it resolves. Perfect. So let's also Seagate, try to find something. Like another fam would be perfect. At least we milled an analysis, so that's definitely a good one. I guess I'm starting with preordain, since I'm a little worried about my life total. Like if I go to 5 and opponent does have good amount of creatures, we could be dead. I'm gonna keep the dispel interaction and wall here. So we know they do have the pyroblast, which they are using now. And I'm actually not dispelling. We do have a backup wall still, so I kind of like passing with 1 counter spell open and maybe try to catch their flicker off guard, or at least make them use the mystical teachings to fetch a counter for our dispel. They only swing in for 2. Sounds good to me. And they do not wish to flicker there. They kind of avoided the bait. But, well, I think this turn is like my last chance to try and combo off. And I mean, we've got all the pieces except the second familiar. So let's see whether we can find it. Looks like we can with this flashback. So let's try, and yeah, it resolves. Perfect. So it looks like opponent will be fighting over the finishers instead. Therefore, let's start off with the Mnemonic Wall. Opponent is gonna respond by flickering, wall and bog. So we have a couple of lines. We could counter with either of our interaction spells. But I feel like we don't care about it, because we actually have 4 spells and we have 4 mana up. So we don't need the card off of this wall, really. We just want to make sure that we are able to force the combo through. So sure, exile my graveyard. and they are getting a pyroblast instead of the ghostly flicker. So at this point, let's try and flicker. Opponent is casting the pyroblast that we know of. They have recently gotten back, so let's dispel that one. But here they have another one, so sure, this happens. But we can now snap the wall. Replay the wall, getting the ghostly flicker. I mean, we could combo off either way, but the ghostly flicker is faster than the snap, so let's try and get that one back. And it looks like it works, and we even have the pyroblast should the opponent have like a prohibit or condescend, but looks like not, and we are able to close this game out, milling them to their death. But wow, this was super close. There we go, milling the opponent with 2 minutes left on our timer, but that's kind of the typical outcome against Tron. I hope I will see you in round 6.